YouTube channel Principles of Physics, and today I am posting my first video, and it's on angular momentum, conservation of angular momentum and moment of inertia. As we have studied earlier linear momentum, so angular momentum is something different from the linear momentum. It's very intuitive. So we start from the difference between the angular momentum and the linear momentum. Then after we will add it on the how it is produced, on what factor it depends upon, its direction, and some derivation on this. So starting from the difference between the angular momentum and linear momentum, we have linear momentum P equals to mv. If a mass m moves in positive x direction with velocity v, we know its linear momentum is equal to P equals to mv, and it's the direction of the flowing body, that is v. But in the case of rotational motion, new terms comes, that is angular momentum. So we will derive its formula and its direction relative to the linear momentum. So according to diagram, if a point P has mass m and is moving with velocity v, so we have to find angular momentum with respect to point Q. So first we will define the reference point, that is Q, and we will join it to that point where the force or the velocity is acting. So here RQ will be the distance from the reference point to that point. So according to formula, angular momentum is R cross P, and we know P is mv. So basically angular momentum is m into R cross v. Its SI unit is kg meter per second, and its nature is it is conserved force. So it's about the angular momentum. And now we will move to difference between the linear momentum and angular momentum. What's the basis difference? So linear momentum, as in the case of linear momentum, we see that it's moved with velocity v, and irrespective of the reference point, it's always remain constant. But in the same case, as we have taken in the angular momentum, if we have taken Q as the reference point, then we have the fixed distance, that is RQ. And if we move Q to the point Q dash, then we have to take this much distance R dash Q dash. So according to our reference point, distance changes, so angular momentum changes. So the basic difference between the linear momentum and angular momentum is that linear momentum remains constant irrespective of reference point, but angular momentum depends on reference point. Now there is a case in which irrespective of the point, angular momentum remains constant, and now we will go to study that case. And that is, if in the rotational motion, if some body is moving or rotating along the center of mass, or its axis, the rotational axis is going through the center of mass and is perpendicular to that plane of that body, then reference point, irrespective of the reference point, either we choose at RQ at point Q or at point P, R dash P, angular momentum remains constant. Now we will study from where does this point comes into the existence. We will see that in linear motion, if a force F acts on a body of mass m and it produces some velocity v, then linear momentum has mv effect on that mass m. In rotational motion, what we will see, if a body of mass m and length l is subjected to a force F at distance, say x distance from the center of mass, then force F has tendency to move the body to some angle, say after some time t, the body position will be like this. So what F force has done on this body? It has rotated the body to some angle theta. And due to this force, we can say that this body is subjected to some torque, and that is R cross F. And we know that this distance R is the distance from the point of center of mass to the point at which the force is acting on that body, and this is x in this system. So this force has some torque that produces rotation to this body, and this body has moved to some angle theta. So in rotational motion, what we had, that is x in linear motion, that is displacement, is now converted to theta, that is in rotational motion. And as we know that dx by dt gives v in linear motion, but in the case of rotational motion, the differentiation of this with respect to times gives omega and its angular velocity. Due to this angular velocity, the body performs rotational motion. Now we will study that case in which, irrespective of the reference point, the angular momentum remains constant. And I have said that reference point should be at the center of mass in which the body is rotating through the center of mass and is perpendicular to that plane of that body. And on that situation, angular momentum is given by the formula L equals to I omega, or we can say that it is LCM equals to ICM omega. LCM is the angular momentum acting on the center of mass, and where I is the center of mass of that body, moment of inertia at the center of mass, and omega is the angular velocity at which it is rotating. So we will now go to derive the formula. So consider a rigid body and let's say we have a point P which has mass mp at a distance rp from the center. So this mp is performing circular motion with respect to rp. So according to this diagram, the mass mp is moving with velocity vp tangentially. So according to formula, what we have for the pth particle, the LP is given by mass, that is mp, into cross product of vp into rp. That is the angular momentum of the pth particles rotating along a circular path of having radius rp from the center of mass of that body. Now, as we know, Vp equals to Rp omega. So we will substitute and we will get Lp equals to Mp into R square P into omega. Now summation of Lp gives LCM and is equals to summation of P R square P omega. And as we know, summation of MP into R square P is the moment of inertia of the pth particles from the center of mass, so it can be written as ICM. So it gives LCM equals to ICM omega. Now I will move on the section of conservation of angular momentum. What it says that if a body, say having mass m and radius r, is rotating with angular velocity omega, and if net external torque is equals to 0, then its angular momentum will remain constant, or we can say that L initial equals to L final. Through this diagram, we're going to derive that if torque external is equal to 0 at any instance, then linear momentum initially is equal to linear momentum finally. Now let us consider of ith particles having Ri distance from the center, and let mass be mi, rotating with angular velocity omega. Then its angular momentum is given by summation of total angular momentum is given by summation of Ri into Pi, whereas Pi is the moment of ith particles. So on differentiating with respect to time, we will find that it can be written in the way summation of I dri with respect to dt into Pi plus Ri into dpi to t. And we can write pi as dri into dt into mmi ri plus ri into mi. Now let us consider of ith particles having ri distance from the center and its let mass be mi, rotating with angular velocity omega. Then its angular momentum is given by summation of total angular momentum is given by summation of Ri into Pi, whereas Pi is the moment of ith particles. So on differentiating with respect to time, we will find that it can be written in the way summation of I dri with respect to dt into pi plus ri into dpi to t. And we can write pi as dri into dt into mmi ri plus it's ri cross fi. We can say that P is equals to mv and dp by dt equals to m dv by dt, that is ma. And this is the force combines internal as well as external totally. So we can say that it can be written into F total. And from the last we can know that that's summation of mi ri square can be written as moment of inertia. So it is always constant for any body. And we know that Ri cross F is torque. And we know that Ri cross F total gives you the result of total torque acting. So we know that from what we have derived is dl upon dt depends upon Ri cross F Fi, let's say, summation, and that is the torque. So for dl by dt to be constant, what we can say that for this system to be remaining constant with same angular momentum, we should have torque external should be 0. Hence it is proof that if torque external acting on the body is 0, then the system of the body remains with same angular momentum that it was initially, and it will be constant further, and that is conservation of angular momentum. Now we will see a situation where two mass, let's say m1 and m2, it is, let's say, d distance apart from each other, is rotated, and this system of two masses, let's say m1 plus m2, this system is rotated with, let's say, with angular velocity omega from the center of mass, and we will have to find the angular momentum of the system with respect to m1 and m2. So what we're gonna do first is to find the center of mass of this system, the distance of the center of mass from m1 and m2. We know by formula that angular momentum is r cross p. So in this case we have to know the r, that is the distance from the m1 to the center of mass, and we have studied earlier in the center of mass to find the coordinates of the center of mass of two bodies lying in a plane, and this can be found by the formula xcm is equals to, as we take this is as a reference, so it lies on the reference point, so m1 into 0 plus m2 into d by total mass m1 plus m2. So by the formula we can say that r1 is equal to m2d upon m1 plus m2, and r2 equals to m1d m1 plus m2, as we have taken the reference at the point m1, so the distance of the point m1 to the lie is on origin, so it must be 0, hence r1 and r2 we have derived. Now we will put this in the formula to find the angular momentum of the system. We always say the system because of the masses of m1 and m2. We are not finding the angular momentum of each particles. We are finding of the angular momentum of the both particles at the same time. So we can call this as a system of particles containing m1 and m2. Now we will put this on the formula of L equals to m v cross r. And since to find the angular momentum, we must find that is there any external torque acting on the system. If there, then we can't use the conservation of angular momentum. Otherwise, if there is not external torque acting, then we can use that. So in this case, as we see that no external torque is acting, so the angular momentum remains constant. And by the formula we have mv cross r. So for the m1 particles we have mass m1 into, as we can say that it is rotating with angular velocity omega, so it must be going in a circular plane of radius d, of the radius d by 2. So we can say that v equals to r omega, and we can say that here, let's say it's a r, and for the m1 particles v equals to r1 omega, that is r1 omega into r1. So we get m1 r1 square omega for the first particle. Similarly, for the second particle we will get m2 into r2 square omega. Now we will put the value of r1 and r2, then we will find the angular momentum of the system, and that is L equals to m1 into m2 square m1 into m2 square into r square omega divided by m1 plus m2 square. This is L1. Similarly L2 m2 into m1 square into r square omega divided by m1 plus m2 square. So we can say that L equals to L1 plus L2, and that is m1 m2 upon m1 plus m2 r square omega upon m1 plus m2. And now we can say that m1 m2 upon divided by m1 plus m2 is the reduced mass, and it can be defined, or it can be denoted by the mu. Mu is the reduced mass. So r square omega divided by m1 plus m2 into mu is the angular momentum of this system. Now we will deal with another example based on the angular momentum and its principles. Let's say a man standing at the horizon. This is a man standing on the horizon, having his hand flapped in the direction of positive x direction and the negative x direction. And after some time, a man just fold his arms. So what we have to find is what will be the change in angular momentum so that the system remains in equilibrium. Change in angular momentum. We don't know how much precise the angular momentum will change, but we can say that either it will increase or it will decrease so that the system will remain as it were before. So in this case, when his arms were flapped, then moment of inertia should be acting on this part, and when he fold his arms, let's say this, and his arms comes in this direction, so moment of inertia, we can clearly see the moment of inertia having the d distance, let's say the particles d distance from the center increases to point d dash, and we can clearly see that d dash is lesser than the d, so moment of inertia from the both side decreases, and we can say that angular momentum is L equals to I omega, and we can say that no external torque is acting, so it must be conserved. So for the system to be remaining conserved, there should be change in the angular momentum, angular velocity. So we have to find either it will increase or it will decrease. So it's a case of principles of angular momentum. So here we can say that moment of inertia decreases from the both sides. So what will be the change in the angular velocity? So for the system to remain extant, it will increase up. This is a very interesting topic, and from that very interesting topic, this is the very interesting example we can see. Now we will discuss the last topic, that is moment of inertia, and we will cover up this topic through this diagram, and we will try to understand on what factors moment of inertia depend and what really it is. So here you can clearly see that a rough surface of incline at angle theta from the horizontal, and on that rough surface we have put a sphere, a solid sphere, and it's rolling down. So by this diagram we will understand that how moment of inertia changes when it reaches to the bottom, or on which factor it will change. So in the starting we will describe some points, so it will help in further calculation. That is I, moment of inertia of sphere, that is 2/5 mr square, solid sphere. We will use the torque system at the point of origin. So torque due to normal and torque due to weight, Ng acts at the same point. At that point we have taken the origin, so that must be 0. So only due to the frictional force torque will come into the existence. So this point we will be using in our calculation. So starting from the force body diagram, we have shown that which force is acting in which direction. So mg sin theta is acting downward. Frictional force to oppose that motion is acting in the backward direction. Normal force is acting in the perpendicular direction to the point of contact, and mg is acting downward. So case 1 will be force in the direction to the motion and against it, that is mg sin theta minus frictional force will add up to motion, that is A. A is the total acceleration that through which it is accelerated downward. Now what we will see that torque due to frictional force is force into the distance between the point, that is r. Let's say it's moving with the angular velocity omega, rotating with the angular velocity omega. So what we will see that torque is given by I alpha. So we will substitute that I alpha in the place of torque, where I is the moment of inertia of the sphere and alpha will be the angular acceleration to which the body is rotating. As body is freely rotating, rolling, then it must consider the situation that is Vcm equals to r omega. So on differentiating with time, dVcm by dt equals to r d omega by dt, that is equals to r alpha, and alpha equals to a by r. So we will substitute the value of alpha to here, and what we will find that I a by r equals to f into r. So f equals to I a by r square. Now we will substitute this magnitude of force here and see what we will find. And we will find that mg sin theta minus I a by r square gives ma, or mg sin theta equals to a m plus I a by r square. And what we will find out, mg r square sin theta is divided by m r square plus I gives the acceleration through which the body is rolling down. Now what we will see that on substituting the value of I, we will see that we will find that A gives the acceleration of 2/3 g sin theta. Now here comes the very important discussion. What I am going to say that neither sphere nor the system depends upon the radius, the width of the radius, the mass of the radius. So either I'm going to roll the solid sphere of, let's say, diameter d1, and again the solid sphere of diameter d2, which is smaller. So we will see that both the sphere move to this point at the same time t, because the net acceleration acting to the downward direction is dependent upon g and sine theta. Neither it depends upon the distance, radius, or the length of the body. For example, if we, similarly in the case of the cylinder, if we take the cylinder with a length L1 and a smaller cylinder with length L2, then we can say that both the cylinder of length L1 and L2 reaches at the same point at the same time, because in the same case neither of it depends upon the radius and the length. But in the next case, what we will see that in the same one, if we took a solid sphere and hollow sphere, then we can see the change in the timing at which the body is reaching down. So it's always the case that hollow sphere will always take longer time to reach to the bottom. So only in this case, where the moment of inertia changes, will cause the effect to take the time to differ. Otherwise it will take the same time irrespective of d, length and mass m. Irrespective of these factors, the time will be same. So this is the important factors on which the moment of inertia depends. And in the next session we will go to discuss the moment of inertia of some regular bodies or predefined bodies, and for the formula, I is given by integration of dm r square.
That's for the today. Thank you for watching my video. Please do like, share and subscribe and comment below.